Hello and welcome to the Sports Show with Bob Spino, NBA and NHL Playoffs 2022 here and now. Now, Bob, it's looking like the Celtics are really off to an ideal start.
Well, I said if they could get by the Nets in the beginning and then the Bucks, I didn't think Miami was much. They were a weak number one. I thought that they had the toughest road and they'd be battle ready, and they are. Last night, though, was wild. It didn't look good. I know Curry was making baskets in the first quarter, and I'm like, they got to slow him down. And, they did. They pretty much kept him down in the next three quarters. He didn't score in the second at all. And, as time goes on, like, you have to overcome the crowd and the road game being down your throat. And that happens in the beginning of a game and in the beginning of a second half. Boston weathered it. The worst thing that happened to Boston was halftime, because they actually took a 2-point lead despite everything that, Golden State threw at them. And then Golden State threw it at them again in the beginning of the third. And, they're down 15. And it's funny, Rob, because I'm sitting there going, it's at the end of the third. I'm like, Boston has to score 40 points in the fourth to have any chance. And they got to outscore them by like 40 to 25, and that's going to be hard. Well, they did score 40, but they only gave up 16. They outscored them by 24 points, 24. It was the biggest turnaround. Like, no team's ever been down double digits going in the fourth in the history of the league and then won by double digits. They did. And, I know Marcus Smart took a lot of heat in Game 7 with the Heat. And for me, because I've been saying this, he should be coming off the bench as a defensive specialist. That's it. He cannot shoot. But there are days when he gets hot, and you know it right from the start because he's so inconsistent. He was hot in the first half, in the very beginning. They benched him the rest of the game against Golden State. But in the second half, he came out and hit a few shots. He was obviously hot. But they did the thing when Pritchard, and I love Pritchard, the little guy, and he was tenacious against Curry. He held him to no points. He ran the point guard better in Game 7 against the Heat. Whenever he was in, he did. He made the interior passes. He didn't always look to shoot. They weren't three-point crazy, but he can shoot threes. That was his, that's his mark. He does that. And he hit him when he had to. And then White, who was the acquisition from San Antonio at the deadline, my friends were all making fun of me, like, oh, the Nets are getting this one. We're getting Simmons. Yeah, I wonder where he ever disappeared to. Never even played. And they were making fun of me because they were Net fans. My friends are like, oh, you must be really impressed with the Derek White pickup. Well, guess what? I am. And I kept telling them Pritchard was good, and he is. He played at Oregon, Rob, against UCLA. We couldn't stop him. He was a really good player. He was the reason they won all those consecutive games at home for years. So, and he's tough. He actually went after Jimmy Butler's knee and won, scrambling for a ball. He hit the knee. He didn't care. And then, once they got to that point where Brown was the one making the shots, Tatum was out to lunch somewhere. And yeah, he had 13 assists, but I can too if I just pass it to you and you keep hitting threes, But it was Brown. I criticized him in the past, but he's been playing well lately, and he sure is now. And he started it, and then Horford's like, oh, shoot. I just remembered something. I'm pretty good, even though I'm older. I'm going to finish it. And he just starts making shot after shot after shot. And it was a great win, and it's tough to win on the road. And Boston's doing something that only a few teams have ever done. Like the Giants did it. Remember that one year when they were road warriors and they beat New England when they were 18-0? Boston's 8-2 on the road in the playoffs. That's 80%. You usually win 80% at home, not on the road. It's amazing what they're doing. I just hope that they don't get lazy when they go home. Because even that being said, they're 500 at home. That Game 5 against Milwaukee they blew at the end. They really should have won it. That was when I was driving home from Pittsburgh. But this team they find ways to beat you. And they're playing together as a team. And they're showing everybody what Red Auerbach used to say. You lead the league in scoring, I'm finding you. Celtics have the most titles and never had one player lead the league in scoring, ever. And they're not doing that now. Everybody's chipping in and knowing what they're supposed to do. And Doka, I got to give it to him. He bought the team concept, and they bought it. He sold it, they bought it, and that's what they're doing now. They're playing amazing, and yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, is it over? No, because Curry and Clay are great. But the one thing I did say too, I didn't think Poole was going to be very good. Now, it was only one game, and he wasn't good. It's the first time he's ever been there. Even though you're home, that's pressure. There's going to be more pressure when he's on the road. Those fans are going to be on him. And Boston fans are wild. But, I'm really, really happy what they're doing. I just hope they keep doing it. 1 down, 3 to go. I can't believe my team is, we're going to win number 18, minus all fluky things. But Curry's great. And, he said, I have confidence we're going to come back. And I do believe that to a point. But Clay was a no-show. And then Boston forced, Draymond Green to take shots. Let him take shots from outside. Yeah, let him do it. He's not going to beat us. And they slowed Curry down enough. You can't stop him. And Clay has never been this. He's a great player. And see, the stuff I used to say is all coming true. I would say Clay is the most clutch player. And now they're saying that, Curry disappears in big moments. I don't believe that. But he does need he needs help. He needs Clay. And Clay is great, but Clay's never quite been the same since those two. He had 2 major injuries, not minor injuries. And he's older, But when he does get going, he can be that clutch guy. He's always been the clutch guy. And he gets no credit. And what I think is amazing is the Nets are getting more press in Boston. Because, I saw a meme. These 2 guys came together to do something special in Brooklyn. And it was Kyrie and KD. The 2 teams they left are playing each other in the finals. Right? I mean, but you know what? It's messed up because now they're not going to sign Kyrie. So KD hasn't talked to him in weeks. He's going to leave if KD leaves or Kyrie leaves. He's going to leave. And I heard a rumor they want to trade him to Memphis. Where does that leave the Nets? With Ben Simmons? I mean, who's like, maybe Ben will like it better because nobody will be there and nobody can upset him mentally because he got some issues. But that's not good when you're trying to win a game, So, the Nets have basically sold everything. Not only did they get rid of everything, the picks they gave to Boston, one was Brown, one was Tatum, and they gave a pick away to Portland and turned it to be Damon Lillard. This team, and then they give up their backups. They don't know what the heck they're doing. I love it. The Nets are they're our best farm system. They really are. Matter of fact, they're a lot of teams' best farm system.
So what's your prediction going forward with the series, Bob? Do you see them taking the second game, or do you anticipate Klay Thompson shows back up and they take the second game?
I think that Boston has to play the same way. See, in order to win the second game, it's going to be really hard. Because it's important. Golden State, if Golden State to win game 2, it's over. I think it's over. They have to, and they know it. So they're really going to come out like a house of fire, but they did in the first game. But see, you know what it is, Rob? I know Golden State ain't as good as they were. And I say that not just when Durant was there, but before Durant, because they won before Durant. But this team's not the same. They got rid of other players, and Iguodala's 1,000 years old now. So, you can see they're not, they don't have Bogut. They don't have a lot of those guys that help them win. So, and those guys are important. The only reason they're here, Golden State, is because Phoenix lost. Phoenix would have beat them. They were the best team all year. Everybody's saying Boston had an easy road because, there was no, well, how about the fact you traded Harden with the Nets? You screwed up there, so we took you out. And then there was no Middleton. That's legitimate. He's a good player. But we did, put a lot of pressure on Milwaukee. We took them 7. They still took us 7, beat us, but they might not have. Because we shouldn't have blew game 5 for 1. And 2, we're tough, and we make you play on. See, there's 2 ways to play ball. When I played, if I went out and played, and I saw that the game wasn't flowing like I wanted it to, I knew we were in trouble. I wanted to change the game, and so I would slow it down and make you play it my way. Boston slowed it down and made them play the physical way. Where Golden State is the fly boys. They don't want to get hurt. They're like the old Lakers. Oh, Celtics, don't hurt us. Oh, Pat Riley, they're so mean. And then Pat Riley goes to New York and becomes a thug, right? With Starks and those guys, just beat everybody up. Jordan, knock him out. Who cares? He's only Jordan. Who cares?
Where do you get that idea from, Bob?
Oh, gee, I don't know, Bill Laimbeer and Chuck Daly. I really don't. Pistons, much, but you know what? You know where he got it from? I can't be the fly boy no more because I don't got your ball. I don't got magic, so I got to make do with what I got. If I can't beat him one way, I'll pop him the other. And you know what? The playoffs, especially the finals, are physical. Golden State not physical. I know Looney. He went to UCLA. You know he's strong inside. And he had 20 boards. But you know what? 4 points and 20 boards ain't gonna do it. 4 points is ridiculous. And you know, outside of him, we're gonna rough you up because Boston is big. And once we started, I noticed in the second half, you know, Curry didn't get those open looks. We were chasing around. We had our 7-footer chasing around and block his shot from three. That's when I knew. I'm like, yeah, we got. Once we cut it to 12, I'm like, oh, if we could just keep this up. And you know, and I know how it goes because when you start making a run, the other team gets scared at first and they miss. But then they'll make one little comeback. And Curry did. He had a couple shots to keep them back because it went to 3, but it couldn't get tied. It went back to 6, went to 4 to 7. But Boston just kept hitting them. And then Peyton, my man, the Pritchard, who was on the podium the other night, I love Peyton. He was nailing shots. And you know, like somebody wrote, who would have funked that? I would, because I think that guy should play more. I told my friends, I go, you know what? He should run the point. He runs it better than Smart because he was a guard. He was a point guard and a shooter in Oregon. He knows how to do it. Smart's just a defensive player with occasional good days. That's it. With shooting, that's it. And they benched him. You know, he only played 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. Smart. That was it. It was Peyton and White, and White's been amazing. He's been the best plus minus guy in the playoffs so far. And I got to tell you, Rob, I go out in Game 7, Miami. I go down to Buffalo Wild Wings, okay? And it's a nice TVs there. So I go to watch it, and I'm sitting at the bar, and these kids behind me, this one behind me is a Laker fan. And he goes, oh, this is a nightmare for me, but I hate Golden State the most. I go, wait, you're a Laker fan, kid, and you hate them more than the Celtics? What? He goes, well, they've been killing us. Well, and I go, I go, so who are you rooting for tonight? He goes, oh, maybe Boston. I go, really? He goes, well, maybe not. I go, uh-huh. So these 4 kids behind me are all Knicks fans, right? And I'm telling them, I go, let me tell you something. I ain't going nowhere for the next 5,000 years. And when I was a kid, they beat my Celtics. And I asked God, don't ever let you win until I die. I ain't dying. So you ain't winning. Right? And all of a sudden they go, what? And they're like late teens, early 20s. And at the end of the game, when Smart started missing those threes, because Boston had a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, in Game 7, the whole crowd of people sitting behind me start going real loud in the bar, defense. I'm like, you Nick bitches, you traitors. And the kid that was the Laker fan started getting scared. I saw the look on his face. I go, and after we won, I go, you still want us? I go, at the very end, he starts rooting for Golden State. He changed up on Boston. He starts rooting. I go, I thought you wanted Golden State. He goes, I go, maybe it's because we're going to break the most championships if we win. He goes, yeah, never thought of that. I got to root for Golden State. I don't want you guys to get the most rings. I go, uh-huh. And the whole place was roaring against everybody hates the Celtics because we're in New York. Everybody hates Boston. It was unreal. I was the only
just
one.
Like I need both the Rangers and Lightning to lose, Bob, and it's getting harder for that to happen.
When they played Carolina, I wish your guys were here, the hockey, because I said once it went to Game 7, it reminded me of the Bruins when we beat Vancouver, like in 2011. The home team won every game. Vancouver had the best record. Game 7 comes, and I knew we could win because Tim Thomas was a lights out goal. We shut them out 3-0, and the city of Vancouver burned itself to the ground. They started lighting fires in the city, which who cares about Vancouver? But anyway, we did, and it just reminded me that Rangers series against Carolina. This is what's going to happen. The Rangers are going to go to Carolina and win. And you know what? They killed them. The minute they got that power play, I'm out with Chris, and the guy comes up, and I go, "You're a Ranger fan? The guy that worked." I go, "They're going to score right now." Boom, score. He just looked at me and went. And then they got another goal within 2 minutes with another power play. I go, "You're going to win." And he goes, "Oh, I hope so." I go, "You're going to win." And I walked off, and they killed him 6-2. They're dangerous. And they beat Tampa Bay. I don't know if our buddy here is a little nervous. I still think Tampa's going to come back as great. But I don't know if they're going to win because the Rangers are on a roll. And the Rangers have the home ice, which I did not realize. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the Penguins and the Maple Leafs both failed in their duty to put down the Lightning and the Rangers, and now they both escaped, and they both have momentum. And the Rangers got the young hot studs, just they're playing hot. So
and then
you got the Lightning, who are the seasoned vets, the defending champs, just back in their groove. So this clash is not surprising. The lopsidedness of the first game, maybe so, but as Mr. E would say, the Lightning tend to struggle in game ones when they get deeper in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And they may come. Look, they can win this thing because they're good enough to win on the road. And you know what was amazing, Rob? In Game 7 of the Carolina, they put up a stat in the beginning of the Ranger game, and they're like, "This is the stat for home games, Game 7," and it was like 117-78. Which it's an advantage. It's like what I always said, you have an advantage at home, but it's not a big one. 78 is a lot of losses for a Game 7. It is. You know what I'm saying? And not like basketball. Basketball is ridiculous. It's like over 100 more wins Game 7 than. But this is close. And sure as hell, I knew they were going to do it. I don't think Pittsburgh would have lost to them if what's his name didn't get hurt, the star.
Crosby.
Sorry about that, Cruz. Your name is
okay.
Yeah, but
you're forgiven.
Yes, but if he didn't get hurt, I think Pittsburgh would have won. But him getting hurt in the middle of that series hurt them. Made the Rangers come back, and that's why they won. But sometimes that's what you need. The team that with this crap about the Celtics are lucky. Well, wait a minute. How many years were they not lucky where they could have won when the player got hurt? It's part of the game. And Golden State got lucky that Phoenix didn't win because they would have mauled them. Golden State's not the same team. So that's part of it. And despite Boston getting lucky, they still had to play 3 really good teams. The Nets were favored to win it all when the season started. So, yeah, I'm not buying that crap at all. I mean, that's just an excuse, and I don't want to hear it. You know what? I'm not giving back my trophy if I win it. Put it that way. And neither is the Celtics. So, you know what I mean?
No. To undermine the quality of the Eastern Conference is ridiculous because the Heat were good. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Bucks defending champions. Okay, the West wasn't the defending champion. We forget. We kind of feel like that's kind of lost in the mix. It was the Bucks.
Bigfoot.
What's that?
And the Nets could have won last year instead of the Bucks if it wasn't for his big foot hitting the 3 line.
Exactly. Yeah. Toe placement. Changed that entire thing.
Sure did.
So the East is tough.
No, it's real tough, and we had the toughest. And you know what? Everybody was hoping, like we don't want to have to play the Nets. We have to play this one. You know what? I was kind of hoping it, but at the same time, once it happened, I'm like, well, if we take the Nets out, that's half the battle because they were the favorites to win. And then we got the Bucks. If we take them out, all the tough teams are behind us. I didn't believe in Miami. I know they took a 7, but I didn't believe in them. Boston was responsible for going 7. There were times they didn't play.
I'm kind of surprised at how deep of runs Miami has had recently.
Yeah, I don't
surprises me. No. It doesn't make sense when I see them play. I'm like, this team is just not NBA championship caliber, but they keep making deep runs.
Right. I mean, I don't. I know. Well, like. In the past, the East was, but now it's really good. Like, and I don't think the West is all that good. There's only 2 good teams out there. Well, Memphis is up and coming. I got to give them that. Morant's really good. But I think Denver is a one-man team. I think that Utah's overrated. Their center is weak. He's weak. None of those teams are that good. They're 50-win teams, which means you're out in the second round. Boom, gone. And Golden State's still good, but their players are getting old. And outside of that, once you get past that, there's only Phoenix. And now Phoenix wants to get rid of their center, which is crazy. They get rid of that center, they'll be back down in the pack again. They'll fall back. It's crazy.
In what universe are they considering doing anything to dismantle that team that just had that year they
65
had?
wins. Yeah.
I mean, okay, they lost the playoffs, but it was a 65-win team. Getting rid of the center, that doesn't make any sense to me, Bob.
And no, it doesn't. And look, I respect Dallas for what they did and how they blew them out. But it was a fluke. That wouldn't happen again in the next 100 years. Especially on the road with that team. Phoenix would have killed them. And, they actually did Golden State a big favor. And they kind of did me a favor. Because I didn't really want to play them. But, I mean, we've played enough tough teams so far. I don't need another one. But, that's how it goes. I mean, I'm worried about the next game. I think they're going to come out tough. It's going to be hard to beat them. They're good. But the thing is, Rob, once the game keeps going, playoffs are won under down low, physical. You can't keep flyboying it. And yeah, Boston is going to take your face off. They're the biggest team in the league. They're going to do that. And that's how they play. And you can sit there and people say, well, the refs didn't call a lot of penalties. Well, there really wasn't a lot of fouls last night. There was a few they probably could have called, on Boston. But so what? Let them play. This is what we want to watch. And I don't think it was that dramatic where it would have changed.
We have to remember that basketball is a contact sport.
It is a contact sport, right? And it wasn't so dramatic that it would have changed the outcome. Or the fact that Golden State was winning in the first. I didn't see them complaining when they were killing us. They weren't. So it's the way they played it the way it's supposed to be played. And I mean, it was great. We all chipped in, and that's how you win. And you know what's funny, Rob, too? When you have preseason, the one thing I've noticed in any sport, you play everybody because it's preseason. So everybody gets to play. There were times when I was a kid where Boston, even when they weren't that good a team going into that season, they would roll a good team because everybody chipped in because everybody played. And they would beat them, it seemed by 20 or 30 points because everybody played, right? Last night, everybody played. And they rolled them at the end. That's what happened. And it's ironic that it was 24 points, okay, that Boston outscored them in the fourth quarter, and I'll tell you why. Because when Boston went there the last month of the season before it ended, they beat Golden State by 24 points. Exactly. Now they're saying, well, Curry didn't play. No, he played until the end of the game. That's when Marcus Smart rolled his knee and crashed into him. But most of that game he played. They're trying to say, well, he didn't play. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's a lie. Or just you weren't thinking, you weren't reading. But no, I remember when they won all four of those games on the road, those West Coast games, and Tatum was the one who win them. He had 45 points because I went to my friend, I go, the last time somebody did this, it was Jordan. He went on the road. He used to get 45, score half the points. That was good enough on the road. And then the chip-in points would win you the game. At home, you only have to get 25. Jordan was smart enough to know that because everybody plays better at home. And that's what I go, what Tatum's doing. I go, maybe they will win this thing. I said that at the end of the year. They could win it. If he keeps doing that, they can. Because he's carrying them. On the road, yeah, they can. And what are they doing? They're 8-2 on the road. Yeah, I know. And 24 I thought was interesting because that's how many they rolled them by that night in Golden State at the last month of the year. Which they beat them 110-86. I remember the score. Yep.
Yeah, so I think I'm in agreement with you, Bob, that if the Celtics take this second game, they're probably going to win the series.
Yeah, they'll win because you have to beat Boston 4 out of 5. And Golden State they have enough firepower to do it. But I don't think they will, because again, it comes down to what I said when I used to play basketball. You change the game the way you want to play it, the way the tempo is. That's the word. You start making them play your way, they have no chance. That's how you do it. And that's what Boston did. In the beginning, Golden State was playing their way. Boston was like, we've had enough of your fun. We're stopping it now. Now we're going to play the game my way. Or like my friend used to say, we're going to keep playing until I win. And that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did. And I love it.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch Golden State, they dictate what happens in the game. It's their ball movement. They completely move, you stall, and then they move and throw threes, and that's it. And the Celtics said, nope, like you said, start imposing their will physically, not just from three, and take the game back over.
Now, that being said, they shot out of their minds, even from three. They made 21 threes, Boston. That's unbelievable. Is that going to happen again? Yeah. No. But you know what, too, Rob? There's another thing, too. When Boston took the lead, the one thing I wanted to see was how Golden State would react. Would they come back? Once they got the lead with 3 minutes to go in the fourth or whatever it was, 5 minutes to go, Golden State crumbled. They got scared. They started missing shots. Curry couldn't get away. And by the way, the one thing, now that Curry's getting older, he used to sidestep and make little juke moves, And I used to say, he's getting away with that for two reasons. One, you're not allowed to hand shit. Two, he's quick enough to do it. Once he gets a little older, he's not going to be able to make those little side steps. And he's going to be in trouble because they're going to be in his grill. And in order to stop somebody's shooting motion, you literally have to put your foot between his two legs and take his spot away to make him frustrated. And that's what the Celtics were doing last night. And they never recovered, Golden State. Once they fell behind, they crumbled. They had no answer. And Poole, he drowned in the pool because he only had 9 points, and he showed he's a rookie. And I thought he would, and he did. I knew he wasn't going to come through. And Boston, he shut himself down. And Boston just shut down. Curry only had 13 points in the last three quarters, none in the second. He had 21 in the first. So, they were great. I've been watching them really close the whole playoff. And I'm really happy right now. But I know it's not over. And I know Golden State can come back. So they're good.
Yeah, no, this is a great series. I expect it to be. I expect Golden State to put up a fight and be competitive in the series. And I wouldn't surprise me either team winning. There's no completely dominant team here.
Right. No. But both teams almost had the same record. I think Golden State was 1 or 2 games better because they're not as good as they were. They're not winning 6. But it's tight. It's gonna be tight. So who else don't you want to win besides the Rangers? Did you say?
So I need the Lightning to also lose, Bob, because they're the back-to-back champions. So any team that could possibly threaten the 4 consecutive Islanders championships, I have issue with, because as far as I'm concerned, it's important for your team as a fan to maintain its place within the lore and the landscape of the sport. And so that 4 consecutive title accomplishment, cements the Islanders' place in a place of glory within the landscape. If the Lightning erode that, it diminishes that, in my opinion. So they need to lose. The Rangers, I just personally despise them as a team and just really, really want them to lose. So given this matchup, I'm now switching up and hoping for the Lightning to take out the Rangers and then the Lightning to lose in the finals. It's an unfortunate situation to be in as a fan because it shouldn't have happened. The Maple Leafs and the Penguins both I believe had 3-2 leads and lost.
Right. And look, one of them are going to lose in this round. So you're halfway there. But
you know what? That's the glass half full perspective, Bob. I like it.
Right.
I like it.
You're halfway there. But the thing is, if I were you, and I think Colorado's up 2 games to none, right? They are.
Yes.
I would root for them because they've been pretty damn good all year. And I don't think the Oilers would beat the Rangers or Tampa Bay, whoever wins. I don't.
I agree. The Avalanche have had my eye as well.
Right. I would just root for them because if you're trying to find somebody to beat them, just look to the best team, that's available at the time. So it'd be them. And I don't know if I tell you what, I think the Rangers are going to. I don't want to say they're going to win, but if they get in it and play the Lanch, I don't know, man. They could. They're on a roll right now. They could win it.
I basically am assuming that the Eastern Conference winner will win.
I mean, the West wasn't as strong this year, so it wasn't.
So I'm sacrificing the Lightning getting another consecutive title, third, to put down the Rangers. That's what I'm looking for in this situation.
Yeah,
because I don't see them losing in the finals if they beat the Rangers. I just don't see Tampa Bay losing if they win.
Yeah, no, well, you know what? The Lanch can score. I mean, probably right. I mean, will this be 3 or 4 if they win? 3.
It'll be 3.
Right. Now, how many has Edmonton won? Did they win 4 in a row or 3?
That's a good question, Bob.
We got to look.
I don't have the answers to that question at the moment. Perhaps
I know there was quite a few.
Maybe there's a viewer as we speak.
Yeah.
Celtics win. Anthony Edwards. So what are you asking, Bob? Anybody know if how many consecutive the Edmonton Oilers won, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did the Edmonton Oilers win 3 in a row or 4 in a row? And as I asked that question, I'm also going to look it up. So who do you like in the West? Are you pretty much on board with the Avalanche?
Yeah, well, you know what? I love the Oilers for the fact that I love McDavid and I love their offense. I believe in offense, but the Lanch have a good offense too. I love high-powered Western hockey. I know Eastern can be really physical, a little slow, but and wins. It does win, but I still think that if you got a great offense in hockey, because defense is built into the game and the way it's played itself. You don't got to do a lot on defense because there's a guy standing in front of a little goal and it's not easy to score. But when you have a power offense, it's coming from so many angles, you can get it by that goal. That's why Edmonton beat you guys eventually. That's why they won as many as they did. And that's why Western teams win a lot. That's why Colorado beat the Devils that year. They didn't have enough good offense when they in 2001. I believe in Western hockey. I love it. It's open. It's scoring. There, I love it. I do. We have 2 chat things. Is that what we have?
So we have a personal chat between you and I, Bob, and then we also have the live chat on the video.
Right.
And Anthony Edwards is pretty confident about the Celtics winning this series.
Well, you know what? They're off to a great start. They played as great so far as you can ask if you're a Celtic fan. I mean, and I am, and I'm not, but I'm being fair too. And I'm always fair and tough on my teams when they're not good. So, but right now, they're looking awful good. So, it's, I said to my friend the other day, I think Boston has to win 2 games in Golden State to secure it. They got 1. If they can win 1 more and the way they're going, there's no reason to think they can't win 1 of the 3. Yeah, don't win at least 2 out of 3 at home because that's what home teams do. Even if they lose 1, they'll still win 2 out of 3. And that being said, Boston is 500 at home, so they're winning every other game, so they can. I agree with you. I think they can win. I hope they do. I don't want to say for sure because I'm not knocking Golden State. They're good. But you can see, it goes what I said. They're not as good as they were. Just like Miami wasn't. They're not that good. I called Miami a weak 1 seed. And that's what they were. They were weak. Boston could have easily been number 1 because they made that big run. They were number 1 for a day or 2. And then they sat their players at the end and lost to number 1 to Miami. That's how Miami got it. I mean, but obviously Golden State is not. They weren't even a 2 this year. They were a 3. So, Memphis was better and might have beaten them had they not had Morant not gotten hurt. So, I mean, if they can beat them, Memphis, or almost beat them, then we can. I would believe.
So Bob, the Oilers actually won 3 in a row.
They did. Okay. Yeah, they won. I know they won 3 in a row. They beat you, right? Did they knock you out in the first one? Because I remember I was rooting for them, Rob, because you guys, man, they were like the most hated. If you weren't an Islander fan, everybody hated you. I was a kid, I remember. They knocked you out, and boy, oh boy, were your announcers pissed. They were ticked.
Understandably so. I mean, that's after that kind of streak.
Yeah, right. Right. They did win 3 in a row. They're good now. They got a great offense again. They kind of got that. They're similar. They're not as good as they were, back when Gretzky was a rookie, but they got that similar type offense. They score a lot. Can they beat them? I think they can beat them at home. They're going back to Edmonton, so they could. Will it be a 6 or 7 games? It could be. Yeah, I can see it. But will the Lynch win? Probably. They're pretty damn tough. And they could win one on the road. They could. They're good. But the Eastern one intrigues me because you got a team that's really hard to take out, and you got a hot team. The Rangers are hot. And the Rangers were great in the beginning of the year, and they slowed down a little. Their goalie got hurt. That changed things. But now they seem to be on full power again. They're doing great.
The Lightning do not want to go down 0-2 against this team, no matter what.
No.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the Lightning regroup and get the second one in the Garden and regain control.
Right.
So, was there anything that occurred in the NBA matchup that you didn't expect? Was it came out of nowhere kind of thing?
The Phoenix thing was unexpected. I mean, when you're that good, you should be in the finals. And nobody thought that was coming, especially in Game 7 at home. I guess the Grizzlies being a 2 seed during the season and playing as well as they did, nobody thought they were going to be a 2 seed. And, they proved that they're pretty damn close. They really took, they gave, I think it was Phoenix. They gave them, or was it Phoenix or Golden State? Golden State. They gave them all they could do. And the injuries actually stopped them. They probably would have won. And outside of that, no, because, the Nets fell apart. But they had issues. I mean, it wasn't just the Kyrie thing with the shot, which I think he was right to not get it. My brother's living proof. And it's his privilege. They were trying to force it. That's ridiculous. But they just were never on the same page. And then Harden, got disgusted because they weren't winning. So they ended up trading him, and they self-destructed, which actually helped Boston and everybody else, really. And the Bucks, they actually played tougher than I thought. But they almost pulled it out anyway. But I didn't think they would beat Boston. I didn't. I was worried about them, though. I'm worried about all these. Miami, I wasn't worried about. I didn't think they could beat us. How they played a 7, I don't know. But outside of that, I believed in my Celtics through mid-year because my friend kept sending me messages, and he's like, because he's an F, and you're afraid of the Nets, huh? And I wouldn't answer back. I would just save his messages. Now I'm laughing at him, But no.
That Miami Heat, that Game 7 against Miami, that game was over at the tip.
Yeah, I know it.
Tip, game over.
And you know what? I got to tell you, Rob, I knew Game 6 was over too on the first play. Boston got the tip, passed it around, and passed it around, and passed it around, and the shot clock went down, and they took a ridiculous 3 with no time on the shot clock to miss. I knew we lost the game right there, and we did, because it reminded me of the other game we played lousy at home earlier in the series. I'm like, we're dead. We're going to lose tonight. We don't even know what we're doing. We're just passing the ball, not attacking the basket. And sure as heck, we got clocked. But when Game 7 came, I saw right away. I'm like, oh, they're aggressive. And they're not even taking threes because they took too many and missed them. And they're going right to the basket and took it right down their throat. And I knew then we were going to win. And weirdly enough, the three almost took us out with Marcus Smart. If we took one more, I would have ran to Miami and choked them myself. Really. I mean, because we were smart in that game. We went to the basket. And that's how you win games. You go to the basket. This game is not a 3-point contest. That's something for the All-Star game. This is a down low, go to the basket game, physical. And that's what Boston did. They went to the basket. They hit a lot of threes, but they went to the basket when they had to, and they used their physical strength to knock Golden State off their game. And that was what they did. So nothing, you know why it didn't surprise me that Boston's making this run? Because one of my friends kept texting me. He goes, oh, you're scared, you're scared. And I realized, and then Harden, the first game they ever played together all year, Harden, Durant, Kyrie, they played against Boston up there and we beat them. And I was like, I think the world should be afraid of us. We're the ones on a tear, not the Nets who are so up and down. And then, then they trade Harden. And no, we're the ones that should be feared and no one's giving us credit. And that from that time on, I expected this. And that's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they did.
And how about the NHL playoffs, Bob? Anything unexpected arise in the early games?
No, because the NHL is the most it's kind of fun to watch because you don't know what's coming. You have a good feel with some other sports like the Yankees who are hitting home runs disgustingly every night. They're picking up guys. Carpenter, the guy that was cut by St. Louis, was a great player. Yankees just picked him up. He had 2 homers in 2 days. No, you know that's coming. But with hockey, you don't. Think about it. The only thing you know is the President's Cup team ain't going to win it. And Tampa Bay took them out in 4, did they not? They swept them, did they not?
Oh, gone.
Gone. But everything else is a crapshoot, and that's what's fun about it. You don't know who's going to win. That's what's great about hockey. It's like when we were little kids.
Yeah, road, home. Home away. You could have the most insane home environment. That road team can just take over.
That's right, because it's like I said. There's not a big advantage in home when it comes to hockey. Not like the other sports.
No.
It's not. Right. So no, nothing really surprises me in hockey. I enjoy it. It's fun to watch. And I never did when I was a kid. I thought it was, what the heck? You're little, you don't get it. But I get it now and I love it. And you know what? I got a gut feeling the Rangers are just going, I don't know. I don't want to say it. Because Tampa's tough,
And that's all she wrote, folks. Have a good evening. Take care. I'm kidding, Bob. I'm kidding. Right. I was about to hear some words out of your mouth, and it was going to be unbearable. But I'm glad you caught yourself.
But there's something about it. There's something about them. You know what I'm saying? Is it 1-0 Rangers or 2? Tonight's game 2?
Tonight's game 2, Bob.
Tampa has to win. I know that. They don't want to go home. They could go home 0-2 and win 2 in a row. They can, and then come back and win game 5. They could, but if I was them, I'd rather not. I'd rather win the night and steal the momentum, and the home ice. That's what I would. You know what I mean? But that's. I don't know. I just got a good feeling. They were good all year. And then they got a little bad when their goalie got hurt, and now they're back. I kid you not, Rob. I knew they were going to beat Carolina in Game 7. And that was the only loss Carolina had at home in the whole playoff. I knew it, and they did.
So we don't know what's going to happen. We'll see what happens. I just hope it just has nothing to do with the Rangers advancing out of this round.
You better hope well, the thing is, you have a team that really can stop. So right now you're playing your best cards against them. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like with the Celtics, they played against the best teams. So the other teams are throwing their best cards. They beat them all to get here. So now what's left? Well, a team that's inferior. I'm not saying Golden State, they're inferior to what they were, Golden State. They're not the team they used to be. So this is actually a step up. I think this series and the last one are easier than the first 2 with Boston. I do. but because of Curry, it's not going to be easy. But and I think that's what you're doing here. You're just playing the best card you got. But if you run out of those cards,
I think the Lightning is the last card because I just don't see. I don't see a court card coming out of the next pile. The other pile there'll be like a 7 of spades going up against a jack. I need a queen or a king right here. Not take this out.
Right. You need a couple aces, actually.
You need a couple aces. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So there you have it with the NHL playoffs. Unexpected is the only thing to expect.
Right.
And the NBA, I mean, again, you're glad that Boston has taken that 1-0 lead. Really would do themselves a favor to get that 2-0
somewhere in there. Win a game out there. Win another game out there.
Yeah, win another game out there, and you're in really good business. But going to baseball now, that's been happening for weeks have transpired. Here we are. What's the big story that you feel very opinionated about right now?
Oh, very. The big story is how dumb Yankee fans are. Because last year they were complaining at the deadline, we had too many home runs. We need to break up the team. And I was so hoping it because I know that the reason they have 27 titles is because they've been always the team that hit the most home runs. But they were too proud, so they would become sellers. So what they did was they kept everybody, which I didn't want them to do because I hate them, okay, as a fan. So they were going to sign these players from other teams. Freeman, who's great. They didn't because the Yankees Steinbrenner's gone. The father's gone. They're not doing that. So they in-house it like the Mets used to do. The problem when the Mets used to do was their in-house sucked. So anybody they re-signed back sucked. But what they didn't realize and the fans didn't realize is Rizzo was great. He won a World Series with the Cubs after 108 years of losing. And Donaldson is great because he used to be a Yankee killer for years. He's a Gold Glove. They both are. And this little twerp from Minnesota, again, shaking hands and helping the Yankees win, as my twin friend does, send him a shortstop that's a Gold Glover, and he can hit 300. So now they're winning. And are they winning because they're hitting? Because Yankee fans are like, oh, see, we're a more complete team. We're driving in runs. We're getting hits. No. You're winning because you lead the league in home runs by far. You have over 70 home runs, and it's June the 3rd. June the 3rd. That's insane. You're going to hit at the rate you're going, you're going to hit 210, 220, 230. You're going to over 200 is considered amazing every year. That's what you want to hit. You are 11th in team batting. I looked at the stats yesterday. Your batting average is 228, which sucks. The Mets were 227 in 2000 when you pummeled them in the World Series, Yankee fans. You batted 270. The Mets are batting 270 this year. They're second in the league. But you know what? You're not driving in runs. You're batting 11th overall. Everything is down except one thing, home runs. And you're clocking them. And you're winning every freaking night. And you're pitching, who wasn't supposed to be strong. All of a sudden, you got guys that you never heard of. Last night, they had a guy pitching a perfect game in his 7th inning and scored no runs. The game was scoreless in the 7th, Rob. But you know what? They still win 2-1. Why? Because that's the Yankees. Anybody else? That wouldn't happen. They find a way to win. And you know what? They end up winning 2-1, and Trout has the game-winning runs on base with 2 outs and doesn't get a hit. Of course. And the closer wasn't even in. They had Clay Holmes in, I think. They always find a way to win, but it's always about the that they win. But even on nights when they don't score, well, you should be taking them out. No, you can't do that because they're pitching a perfect game. So there, you just can't. That's how blessed this team is. But it's about home runs. That is the one stat. The Dodgers and the Mets are 1 and 2 in overall hitting. The Yankees are 11th, but the Yankees have all the home runs. And the Yankees and the pitching. The pitching came out of nowhere. They're second in the league in pitching, next to the Dodgers. I still think, you know what? The Angels are starting to lose now. If I'm the Dodgers or the Mets, because Trout said, I don't want to lose no more. I would call them and trade all my farmhands to get Trout. Because whoever gets him, because he's going to leave. He's already threatening. I don't want to stay if we don't win. And I know the Dodgers have actually made phone calls to the Angels to try to get him in the beginning of the year. I would do it because he is going to be the difference. He's the power hitter. He's the home run guy. And Yankee fans, this is what I say to you. You are dumb, 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 because it's about home runs. Somebody tweeted me, oh, we're leading the league in home runs. I go, you've been doing that since 1927. Watch ask Babe Ruth, will tell you. And that's how you win these games. Base home runs saved the league when there was a Black Sox scandal. When the White Sox cheated, Ruth came in and hit 54 the next year. And all of a sudden, baseball was great again. It was actually ready to crumble, dissolve. He saved it. The home run saved it. And this is what it's about. You get most runs batted in by hitting the most home runs. And occasionally balls. But that's true. And it's unbelievable to me. The Mets are good, but they still need another hitter or two. And now the GM finally admitted that. Oh, I can't hear you, Rob. I can't hear you.
It's okay. I'm still here, Bob. Keep going.
Okay. I thought I lost you. But no, like the Mets don't need the GM admitted we need power hitters. No kidding. I've been trying to tell the owner that for a while. They need power hitters. They got shut out for the first time last night to the Dodgers. Part of the reason was Lindor didn't play. He slammed his hand in the dresser drawer in the hotel. It's all swollen.
But Bob, I'm not entirely sure I understand your point about Yankee fans being dumb. What are they being dumb about? I mean, you pointed out about the home runs and the Yankees having the home runs, but what were they being dumb about?
Because they're being dumb about the fact that when things were going bad, they blamed the team for only hitting home runs last year. And they blame the team for a lot of things that they don't understand. Like, you really want to ask somebody that, like, when they get players, they got really mad when they didn't get players from other teams, right? So, and I'm like, well, don't you realize Rizzo's great? If you really want to ask somebody who's great, ask a Yankee hater like me, because they're the ones that are scorching me. I know who's good. You guys take it. You get too complacent and think, and you're too pompous. You're pompous. You are pompous. Because you're just like, oh, we expect this and we expect that. I expect him here. Yeah? Is he going to pick you up in his limo? You expect that too? I mean, please. Please. You're one of 30 teams, 32 teams. Cut it out. And you're not the Yankees of the past. Because you don't have that kind of an owner. You're just blessed enough to find a good enough staff this year to bail your ass out. And you're still hitting home runs is how you're scoring runs. You are not scoring runs by getting singles and bunts. Nobody bunts anymore. You're not doing any of that. It's still about the power. It makes up, you know what? It's just like they say, speed makes up for a lot of mistakes. So does home run power. And Yankee fans are dumb because they don't get it. Just like they just want to win every day. And when the minute something goes wrong, they start blaming the very people that are helping them win. That's when they're dumb, Rob. They don't get it. They're complacent. They expect this and this and this. And when it doesn't go wrong, oh, it's your fault. Your fault. You suck. No, he had an off week or an off day or whatever. You know what? Yeah, you do that. You trade him. Make me happy. Because you trade these good players, I'm going to be happy. You're going to suck. I'm going to love it. Like they almost did last year. But they were too practiced. They're the Yankees, so they didn't become sellers. They stayed buyers. And it saved their ass. And Cashman is lucky. He's lucky he's not fired. He is. He always seems to come. You know, some people are just lucky. Even when things go bad, they end up smelling like a rose at the end of the day. And that's him. Because he didn't.
Bob, we're gonna have to get a Yankee fan to come on the show at some point, and
I'll tell you.
Have a discussion in defense of the Yankee fan base, Bob.
That defense will be broken in a second. I will.
Confident. Is this going to be like horse, Bob? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, horse times a billion. No,
horse times a billion. That's
horse times a billion.
Let me tell you, folks. If it's horse times a billion, whoever this is done for. It's over. I mean, forget it. Because this guy don't miss. This guy doesn't miss a shot. But anyway.
I'll have all kinds of weapons and I'll have pea shooters trying to fight back.
So the Yankees are doing well, and in your opinion, this is not a good thing. And
I hate
fans are complacent. But at least the Mets are good as well, right, Bob?
Oh, we're good, but you know what? I still am worried about the fact we don't have power hitters. I think it's going to come get us. See, Everybody's into the base. Look, I love base hits. I love doubles to set it up. The Mets were like that, but they won in the 80s because they had the boppers to drive them in. They had the boppers to drive in Dykstra, who started, I talked to her the other night on Twitter. We were talking. And they had the boppers to drive in Wally Back, who used to get base hits or walk. That's all important. I'm not saying it's not, but you still need the power hitters to put you over. If you don't have that, you're just going to have a shit team. Yeah, you know what? Not everybody's the St. Louis Cardinals of the 80s who gave us all we can handle without any power. That was the exception, not the rule. If that team ever played the Yankees in the old days, the Yankees would have killed them. With Ruth and those guys, they'd have killed them. I mean,
yeah, Ruth in those days, though, Bob, are long over. And actually, one of our commenters, the Gumby Rules, Bob, he just said that baseball is hurting from an aging fan base and not getting new fans, and that the median age of Major League Baseball fans is 57 years. So that is a concern. That kind of echoes what Mike Scioscia was talking about with the fact that you're not getting the young kids growing up playing the sports,
right.
And you're seeing the sport just almost not happening this season. I mean, do you agree? Do you agree that it's maybe a bit dire when it comes to baseball?
It's definitely not as the pastime as it was, but it's actually still number 2 behind football. It's still technically the pastime. But you're right. We do need to have more people play it and get into it. And I know people from Central America and they love it. A lot of them are running we'll have an uptick. I don't know. But I mean, it's still number 2 here. Basketball isn't. Baseball, I was shocked when I read it. Baseball is still number 2. But you're right. We do need a younger fan base. I totally agree. That's true.
So let's catastrophize this a little bit, Bob. And let's say baseball continues to hurt, continues to decline. And would something else fill a void left by a sport like baseball? Or any sport for that matter in general? Does something fill the void if something declines, like a sport like that?
As long as our culture stays strong, I'd say no, because we don't like soccer. The world does, but we don't. Now, we're getting a lot of people in from the southern border who do. If that changes, maybe soccer. But if we just somehow manage to save our culture, which is under attack by the left, no, I can't see anything else fill it. I mean, football's big. It could. And basketball's big. But I don't know if anything could replace baseball. I don't know.
Well, the Gumby Rules made a great follow-up comment, Bob. He said that there's fewer kids playing, fewer people interested. Baseball is too slow, and they need to get rid of nonsense like 8 warm-up pitches. Make the first pitch
That's
count.
not the issue. The 8
backup quarterbacks don't get 8 warm-up heaves downfield. That was his point.
Yeah, but they practice. You know what? That the 8 is not that big a deal. If you really want to slow it down, stop taking pictures out every 3 seconds.
You mean speed it up?
Speed it up, yeah. No. Well, yeah. Stop taking pictures out every 3 seconds. How about that? If you really want, if a pitcher is really throwing lousy and he's got 2 outs and there's nobody on because he gave up 5 runs already, just let him throw to the last guy and change him in between innings. That'll save it. A lot of it's commercials because you got to have your 67,000 commercials every game. That's slowing it down. But you know what's really slowing it down too? It's our lack of patience as a society. We want everything quick. This is baseball, not McDonald's. We got to learn patience. We're not a chess playing country anymore. We're not. Now we're a motorbike country, speed, poof, game over. No. And there's a beauty in watching a slow game. We're just losing that beauty. We don't want to think no more. We're getting so lazy. Not only do we not want to work, we don't want to think. We want somebody else to do it for us, which is the worst thing you can do. But that's the problem with that. That's a deeper issue. Look, I don't like the 7-inning baloney. What are we, girls softball? What the hell is this shit? Come on. Or let's put somebody on second base because we can in the 10th inning. No, let's earn it like you're supposed to. This isn't like this feminist, we all get a prize in 5th grade crap. Let's stop this shit, okay? There's an issue here, and it's a society issue. It ain't a baseball issue. And just learn how to be patient and enjoy the game. Learn the finer points. Pick up a chessboard and win, or learn how to play. Because the quicker you learn how to play, quicker I'll beat you because I'm good in chess. I'll beat you quicker than a Yankee fan in the argument. How about that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's true. I mean, it's just people are very impatient, and that's a problem. That is a problem. But the game itself is beautiful. It's a great game, and you just got to learn to appreciate it. I mean, Rob, we went to the Hall of Fame, and you learned so much there. You're like, wow, this is better than I thought. Because you weren't a baseball guy growing up, right?
No, but again, there's a history to the game, and then there's the game itself.
Right.
And to me, it's the least favorite, in my opinion, for me, of the major sports. I find it to be too slow. I agree with the Gumby rules. To me, baseball is just too slow of a game. I prefer more faster action in the sport, but that's a preference.
Yeah.
How much of that itself, the game being slower than the other games, being the primary problem in terms of its popularity declining. I don't know. I think it does. I don't know to what degree. But what do you believe is the biggest problem baseball has right now? The number one problem?
Well, it's still number 2 in the country, so it's not that bad still. But I think because it is slower, and the younger kids really don't grow up with it, because a lot of times parents would play baseball with their kids when they were little, and it was the biggest sport to play here. Now, you know what? They're just buying a basketball. Go shoot. I got things to do, or football. But the people that really love it understand it, that play it, and they're going to love it probably all their life. So, but we really should push it on kids. I agree with that.
So yeah, it really just boils down to the kids' lack of engagement with the sport itself.
Right. And the patience
could completely erode it and dissolve the sport. It'll be gone. If no one plays it.
Right. And the patience. People want patience to learn things. They don't want to learn things. They just want to quit. And that's it. And that's kind of crazy. I mean, there is a beauty in sports. They don't have to be fast. Look, it's what I call doing the little things. Like even in the faster sports, a lot of people overlook the little things that made the big play happen. I mean, people didn't understand how good Pritchard was in basketball, but the South, I did. I realized what he was doing. And I explained it to my friends who didn't understand it. I go, they're not playing the game properly. And younger kids aren't going to know that because they never saw anything that came before them. So they don't realize, they think, oh, you're supposed to run around and take a 3 all day. No, you're not. No, you're not. So, and I was explaining to my friend how to shoot a ball, and he was a good shooter. Certain things he didn't get. The other day, I was talking to him about it. There's spots, and you slow the game down in your head. Slowing the game down is the best thing you can do because you can see everything that's happening in every sport. That's what it is. And you learn to be patient.
So the Gumby rules actually does agree with you, Bob. The second base thing is just ridiculous. But within the biggest developments going on in baseball right now, what are your opinions? Like, what's the biggest story going on in baseball right now that you really want to comment on?
The biggest story? I don't know. I knew the Dodgers were going to be great, and they are. I knew the Padres weren't going to be as good, and they're not. Frisco was a fluke. The Yankees, in a way, the Mets were supposed to be the big story in New York. The Yankees took their thunder again because they weren't supposed to be quite as good. They weren't spending, but I knew deep down that they got guys that were going to make them tough, and they got guys that get in home runs. They play to their field. In a way, they're still kind of the biggest story, and they got the best record, even better than the Dodgers. So even though they're never the biggest story because they're the norm, this year they weren't supposed to be as good. So they're kind of the biggest story. They always find ways to win. It's amazing, and it's annoying being a Met fan and a Yankee hater, but it's amazing. And, I won't even watch the games now because I know they're going to win. I'll just wait for the playoffs to come watch them lose, hopefully. Which I never do. I watch every game every day, but I'm so sick of watching them win because I know another way is coming that they're going to pull it out every day. But like I say, I know sports so well now that like I don't have to watch half of it or most of it because I know what's coming. It's like a soap opera. You can miss it for 2 months. 2 months later, that's where I left off because nothing changes. You have a feel for it.
Well, another ongoing issue, Bob, that the Gumby Rules commented with is the ridiculous amount of money involved in baseball. And he made a point that you have teams in the league with $280 million payrolls, and then a team like the A's, for example, with only a $40 million payroll, lacking equal footing. And so he believes that Major League Baseball needs a salary cap. And I'm wondering if you agree with him.
Well, the funny thing about it is, probably, because the funny thing about it was only 2 owners ever voted for the salary cap when Steinbrenner was still alive. And that was the Baltimore owner and Steinbrenner. He wanted it. And yet he took full advantage when everybody else voted no. I think the teams that don't have money don't want a salary cap because they don't want to cap themselves. But you know what? There is a lopsidedness in it. And there are certain teams, they don't, salary share like football does. There are certain teams that have more than others. And the Yankees have always had more than others. And that's why they always spent the money and they always got the best players and the best hitters, especially. That's why they won. In the old days, it was a little more. Well, no, a lot more even because they weren't paying nobody anymore. But even then, the Yankees had more money. So they could still get the best players. So for them, it was always uneven. For the rest of the league, it was more even. Now it is, you're right. It's insane. Should it be a salary cap? Yeah, I guess so. But even with that, it's not going to stop the Yankees from still spending more than everybody else. They can't spend as much as they want, but they're still going to spend more than the A's and small ball and all that other crap. They're still going to win. They won't win 10-0. Maybe they'll win 4-0, but they're still going to beat you. They got the better players. Or 2-0. They're still going to win. So, I mean, I guess the only solution really is to just cut half the teams in the league out of the league and make it a shorter, because and this is the argument for the old people. Because they're like, well, there wasn't that many teams in the league. Yes, but the best teams were in it and the best players were on the rosters. There's so many roster spots now. There's a lot of shitty players in every league that probably would never have made it in those days because they weren't good enough. They'd have got cut. See? So that's why I'm saying that probably is the best solution, but no one's going to do that. Get rid of half these teams in the league because they're a joke. They're a joke. I'm sitting at the Pittsburgh game. I'm talking to Pirates fans. They go, we almost lost our team. I go, yeah, and it's sad because your team is a legendary team. You got a lot of titles in your history. It isn't like, they won in the 1910s, 1909. They did. The Yankees weren't winning back then. Not yet. They never have yet. But you know what? It's sad when they were going to leave, but I'm glad they didn't. You just make the best of a bad situation. The only way you can stop it is get rid of half the league and just let the best teams play. And so stick it, people think people in the old days couldn't play because they could and they were better. And stick it, especially with the Celtics, because I watched a film clip of Bill Russell blocking a shot well above the rim. It was like a still picture. And Chamberlain was just standing there looking at him, and he was well above the rim. Don't tell me those guys weren't great. Don't tell me they couldn't jump. Don't tell me they couldn't kick your ass, because they could and would. And they were all 21. Like I said, let everybody be 21 from different ages and let the fun begin. Just play a big tournament. They kick your ass just like they did then. Because these guys are a joke. These guys are a joke today. They can't play. They don't even know how to play the game. They don't.
So Gumby also added that if you reduce the amount of teams, you would be able to reduce salaries. Do you think that would be the case? The salaries would go down more players competing for less jobs, that kind of thing?
Good. It depends on what kind of structure you set up with each team and what system you set up. That's possible. You know what though? So what if you're getting $1 million that's compared to 20 million? Still $1 million. It's not like the old days, when you were getting like 35 cents. Good luck. See you next year.
You go to work after you play your doubleheader.
Right. If you're getting $1 million, you ain't going to work in the off season. You're fine. You're investing. You're fine. So what if it gets cut a little bit? The play will be better, and more people will be in. How do you think it got to this point in the beginning? The play was better. Everybody had an interest, and that's why it's big as it is now. All the sports you can say that for, all of them. There was no problem in the past. People were like, oh, it was that good then. It wasn't. Yes, it was, because the fans loved it. So something was right. That's ridiculous. Thanks, Gummy, for honing in. I got to tell you, I was supposed to meet the Jets this week and last week. Guy blew me off. He's very unreliable. He used to play down the field. We knew him. The high school I went to, he knew an ex-Jet player. Then he became friends with Geno Smith. I should have known right there we weren't getting nothing out of this guy. But he was always a clown. He was like, oh, cool. No, you blew me off. I was supposed to go to QTAs last week. No. He was supposed to be friends with Zach and go to the Game 7 Rangers. He said he did. Maybe he did. I don't know. But I do know that when I talked to Daryl Rivas a few years ago, he said he knew him. Daryl didn't know. He didn't know. Rivas didn't know. And, he's like bragging about what he can do. And he goes, oh, I met Aaron Judge. And I should have told him, I'm going to tell him. I go, send me that picture of you and Aaron Judge. I want to see it. Thanks, Nick, for blowing me off. I was supposed to go this week. Didn't happen. And I wanted to meet Aaron Judge someday down the road. Didn't happen. I will say I got my tickets for the Dodgers. I'm getting on the field. Don't tell Tony. And I got tickets for the Yankees 3 sets. I got 2 more Mets tickets coming in 3 sets. I sat on the dugout. They're all there. I got the tickets already, free. So, yeah. Thanks, Nick, for totally blowing me off. By the way, Rob, we do have a big guest next week. He's coming on next Friday. And
yes, so stay tuned and like, share, and subscribe, Bob. Who we got coming on next week?
Yeah, he's going to talk a little sports with us, but he's not a sports guy. He's the president for the Country Music Awards. He was the manager for Kenny Rogers. He was at Warner Brothers Records for 40 years. And we're going to ask him, at least I'm going to talk with him to come on. We're going to talk about the baseball bats that we did. Remember the baseball bats? Mm-hmm. And we're going to also try to get him to bring out some country people to come on. So we're going to branch out a little bit. We're going to talk sports and we're going to talk music because I love music. And I know you do, Rob. I hope you do. And
absolutely, Bob.
Yeah, right. And by the way, I like to give a shout out to Derek White. He was wearing the Beatle sweatshirt at the end of the game last night to start the game. I'm a Beatle fan. I loved it. But he's going to talk music and his life and everything. We're going to get into it. And yes, he's friends with Taylor Swift. We're going to try to talk to him and talk her to come on.
So that'd be something. Mix it up a little bit, Bob.
Mix it up.
Change the genre a bit and see where the road takes us. So stay tuned, folks. We will be back next Friday.
We also have a guy in July that's coming on and bringing a bunch of millionaires on, and maybe Brian Cashman. And we got a guy I talked to. I met him at McDonald's of all things. He is looking to promote the show and fund us. I talked to him the other day. He's talking to his boss. They're gonna call me back. We're gonna try to do it. And we have one more thing too. And what was it? I finally got hold of Nigel Miguel, and he is going to get me. I'm going to try to get it. The producer didn't come on. What happened was he was going to try to get us on, right? His movie, because he was going to bring a producer on with him. And the producer actually hired somebody from the agency, and he paid his way to Belize because that's where it was filmed, to be a detective in the movie. But he's got our info, and he's going to call us for the next film. So I'm going to try to get our show on that film. That's what I want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't that be something, Bob? Wouldn't that be something? Yeah.
So I've been working it, Rob. I've been working it.
You've been on the proverbial road and literal road, Bob. So stay tuned, folks. Let's see what comes on the sports show with Bob Spino. We will be back here next Friday. See you then, Bob.
I'll see you then, Rob.
All right, signing off with the sports show.
By the way, for everybody that listens, we're going to be doing it like in the morning, like 11 o'clock next week.
It will likely be 11 a.m. Eastern time.